If you have a list of priorities or a plan on what your organization will focus on in the near future, demon proofing will not be listed, let alone high on the agenda. The disinterest in the power and influence of demons even among Christians is not that surprising. No one thinks they really exist. If their existence is acknowledged, it is as invisible imps making life problematic but not impossible. This blasé attitude towards demons makes this talk all the more vital. We trust that when understood, demon proofing will move rapidly onto your planning spreadsheet. The first priority is to realize demons have more impact on organizations than individuals. The first thing people assume about demons is that they are not physical beings. Demons are thought to exist as imps, spirits, even as voices in the head. But since we are physical and demons are not, it is generally assumed they are largely powerless. As has become the case with God, people feel they can ignore everything that does not occupy time and space. The local drug dealer is a threat. Demonic forces are convenient ideas when making a movie, but have few applications otherwise. This kind of thinking is why organizations are more eager to build a new IT department or security protocols than a demon-proofed organization. It is true, demons are not elves that sit on your shoulder. They do not whisper obscenities in your ear or instruct you on how best to shoot up a school. But it is still useful to think of demons as a source of bad information. What is a bad habit? What is an addiction? What is a life-threatening challenge to the police? When we look for a single unifying factor that will sum up what demons are, we can sum up their influence as being a source of bad advice. This may not seem any more demonic than an immature friend. But if we accede to the advice of demons, can behavior or addiction be excised by a doctor under surgery? Evil and its impacts are visible only as consequences on people's lives. The source is not of this world. The person under the grip of evil is a demon. If you cannot see it and it is evil, it is demonic. To make the issue as simple as we can, think of a demon as a computer virus. The computer is not evil, but if corrupted by a virus it becomes evil. Information is evil, not things. Even if the virus is not an integral part of the computer, by being taken over by a harmful agency, the system or creature becomes itself evil. We can play linguistic games if we wish. We can get academic about the nature of demons if we wish, but the point is, a computer infected with a virus not only has no use, it is a positive liability. Yet, to the visible eye, the computer has not been altered. It is only when we want the computer to do good that we discover it is evil. Moving on to organizations, a demon is not the organization, but an organization infected by demons does not produce value by what it does. Evil is not an organization, it is the failure of the organization to do good. An organization that pollutes, wastes resource, destroys people's lives, and so on, is not doing good, it is not creating value, it is likely to be a burden on the community. Only in a most corrupted sense of the word would be referred to an entity that produces only destruction and harm as an organization. We have a fairly good idea how a computer ought to work. We have far less clear idea what a demon-proofed organization looks like. But then we are confused as to what a good organization consists of. Keeping things simple again. A demon-proofed organization is tantamount to a utopia. People who are aware only of demonic organizations dismiss the concept of a utopia. A utopia is, however, just an organization devoid of evil. We call organizations without demonic elements a utopia because a demon-proofed organization seems like something out of a fantasy novel. Demon-proofed organizations have no unemployment, debt, poverty, inflation, pollution, waste, taxation, homelessness. Utopias, as an alternative expression, eliminate all costs created by the state. Social costs are sometimes referred to as externalities, or costs not encompassed by the company's balance sheet. Social costs are externalized onto society and future generations. But these corruptions are part of the people who operate the organization. It is not the organization that is demonic, per se, it is the operators. It is always a human being that is making the decisions. Still, the organization is imposing costs onto others, and once infected it is reasonable to speak of it as a demonic structure. It is also important to note Once an organization is demonic, a person trying to do good will not fit in and will ultimately need to compromise their standards if they wish to stay with the corporation for any length of time. We can summarize and say that a demonic organization is one that creates social costs or wastes resources. But to truly define a demonic organization, one has to be able to establish what a utopia looks like. If we cannot understand good, how can we understand harm? It was only when we knew Jesus that we understood the depth of our own depravity. A utopia is an organization without externalities. If an organization has externalities, that is social costs, it is freeloading. Transferring costs onto society and future generations is free riding. No one owes anyone anything. If you owe me something, why do I not owe you something of the same value in return? What is there about my hard luck story that gives me special rights and privileges over you or others? The only reason why you would owe me is that you took from me what was mine. Indeed, the idea we have human rights is predicated on their neutral impact and a central administration with a monopoly on power to guarantee these rights. Satan is the father of lies. Demons are the lies he fathers. Many are 1,000s of years old, some arose in the Garden of Eden itself. Most arose in Babylon. The common way to understand lies is as false information, that is false. Most people think demons are imps we cannot see, but which feed us false information. But you tell me what happens when you look at reality and are told that what you see is all there is. It's a simple lie, but you might ask, what does the lie matter? You can still eat, drink and find housing. But at some point, a lie is always a contradiction of information. But if the contradiction is revealed, the entire edifice of lies built on it comes down. The more basic the lie and the more far-reaching the implications, the more fiercely will demons fight to protect it. Lies are information in the way viruses are programs. Lies destroy information. When you believe a lie, you lack information. The information you had has been lost in the way bombs destroy buildings. The rubble may be there, but it has no conceivable use. Lies take on a life of their own. Of course, a lie is not physical and does not have a physical life, neither is Satan physical and he does not have a physical life either. We look at what our eyes see and we assume what we see is physical. Our eyes and mind say that the things our optic nerves transmit are out there beyond the perimeter of our own bounded existence. But we cannot find this reality that is thought to exist beyond the mind. We have information as reality and we have lies as corruption of information. This is all we have to work with. To get rid of the demons in our organizations, we have to get rid of the lies on which our organizations are founded. But to truly get rid of these lies, we need to get rid of the father of lies. A demon-proofed organization does not just reject lies, it acknowledges the truth. But lies are not an alternative viewpoint based on an alternative set of facts. Demons exist to fight and defeat what is true. Demons do not leave quietly or without wreaking as much havoc as they can. Lies are the enemy of truth and are inimical to truth. Lies and truth cannot coexist. But when we attack a lie, we need to understand two things about lies. Demons will actively defend themselves against exposure and divert attention from themselves. They do not disappear because a fact has been posted on social media or a cork board. Demons do not attack facts because truth is from God. Demons cannot prove a fact is in error. That is logically impossible. Demons attack the emotions with emotion. They call truth tellers names, they laugh at you, they mock truth, they claim you are insufficient, inadequate, not worthy of attention. They may tell you that you are wrong, but they will not prove your facts are wrong. They prove your facts are mean, dirty, unfeeling. They do not argue the truth is a lie or the lie is a truth, they argue you are disliked because you are not kind. They will tell you your world of truth is an unsympathetic reality. Demons will claim you are wrong about how you feel because you have hurt their feelings. Demons will tell the truth teller that he or she does not have the right emotions about who the liar is. They will tell us we feel the wrong way about the wrongdoers and the destroyers. Our emotions are confused because we cannot embrace those who think differently than us, as if lies and truth are equal choices. Perhaps as a white person you are proud of your race. Demons will tell you this is wrong. You need to feel ashamed of being white and proud to be an ally of minority groups. But it is not minorities they are defending. They defend and protect the demonic fringe of both whites and blacks and others. Indeed, demons will never get embroiled in an argument that has objective parameters. Demonic arguments are always grounded in subjective issues. They will tell you that you are evil without having any better explanation for what evil is, other than what they hate. Demons are fond of expressions like racist, homophobe, Islamophobia, and other insults that have no objective correlate, but suggest your emotions are invalid because they are not in line with how they feel. Nothing is worse to a demon than people who is not inclusive and who discriminates. By including everyone, the truth is excluded. The truth is not compatible with those who are liars and cheats. This hate and disrespect and rejection will protect the lie and the liar while it diverts your attacks into how you feel. The anger of an atheist is meant to cause you to resort to demonic tactics, at which time you have lost the argument. But beyond all of this, demons' first priority is to protect their father, or what we might call the big lie, that is Satan. Satan is the father of lies because he is the central lie. We are not saying Satan is not real, because he is. But he is not a red man with horns. Satan is not physical, but he created a physical representation of himself to hide behind. The physical imagery of Satan is just one more layer of protection he has erected around himself. It is easy to ridicule the caricature of Satan. It is so easy to mock the image of Satan he devised that most people do not ask if there is a truth behind the mockery. The truth is represented by God. God is real but not physical. Truth is real but truth is not God, though God is truth. Truth is not the same substance as God, but truth exists, created by God. What God creates is real, but what God creates is not physical. What God creates is good because it is true and has value. What is physical is not good. Good is not a physical attribute nor an attribute of physical things. Information is good because it is true. Lies are bad because they are not information. If we follow Christ as Christians, we embrace the truth, and as Christians we represent the word that is the basis of all information, to all men. But then what is Satan, but the harbinger of lies? He can only fight God by hiding the truths of God. Satan cannot create new truths or different truths. He cannot turn truth into lies. All he can do is cover the truth with a curtain of lies. This is the source of demonic possession. We are possessed by the lies we believe. The greatest barrier to the revelation of Satan is empiricism. Empiricists believe that the only possible truth is that which assumes no metaphysical elements exist. Empirical investigators look at Satan as if he is an impossible abstraction. This is the big lie. The big lie buries the truth of God but is buried in turn, under the lie materialists make, that Christians must prove God exists. Atheists need to prove physical reality exists, before demanding God be proved. The demand for evidence of God is predicated on the belief physical reality is all there is. By tricking Christians into trying to prove God exists, based on the unfounded claims of empiricists, that physical reality is the norm, the demonic forces of atheism preclude challenges to their lies. The embodiment of Satan as a mockery of personalized evil, coupled with the conceptualization of God as an abstract entity, means Christians must disprove Satan is a physical embodiment of evil, even as they attempt to make manifest God, in the godless universe of empirical science. We are being played at both ends. There is no need to prove God exists because there are no other possibilities. The lie that the universe is physical is the only reason why anyone would need to prove God exists. But the lie precludes the truth. But if we peel back all of these layers of lies, there is revealed the true issue. When we get rid of the lies, we are left with nothing but the realization all truth leads to God as the author. Without God there is no information and no truth. Christians can decry the lies and bemoan the false conceptualizations of reality. But these depictions by atheists are akin to false flag operations and are just more distractions. There is only one problem. We need to stay focused on it. The issue was manifested first in the Garden of Eden, but most clearly it can be seen in the Tower of Babel story. The Tower of Babel is the administrative hierarchy the devil needs to implement his agenda. But even this centralization of power we see as a secular management system is a secondary problem. The agenda of Satan is to unseat the Most High. This is not a physical event. The devil cannot create truth, so he wants to replace the truth of God with lies. Satan's agenda does not consist of Satan physically removing God from a physical throne. He cannot do this or even think about doing this. What Satan is about is gaining total authority over the earth by destroying the truth. This is alluded to in the temptations of Christ. Jesus did not correct Satan when Satan claimed all the administrative powers of earth were under his command. The principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in the highest places are the governments and the lies that give them power. But Satan is not God, and even if he were able to exercise divine power as the father of lies, he is logically compelled to stay as far from God and the things of God as much as is logically possible. Therefore, his management style will not be comparable to the system devised by God. The mimicry of God by Satan is more in the form of a mirror image than a clone. What he does might look identical, but it is opposite in every way it is possible to be logically opposite. In any case, Satan, while not mortal, is not supernatural. Satan is not able to defeat or overpower the laws of nature nor God. He can lie about everyone and everything, however. Therefore, Satan works with lies within the boundaries of mortal men. We call the main mode through which Satan operates the state. The state has two drawbacks or limitations, due being a creation of Satan. The state can only reach as far as a human being can reach. And it cannot create because it does not comply with the ordinances of God. If you understand the limits of these two factors, you will understand the state. The limit of the satanic realm is the limits of a lie. Lies, however, take on a life of their own. The power of a lie is the power of evil. We can encapsulate the power of Satan in the concept of liberalism. If we fully understand liberals and how liberalism works, we have a pretty good idea of the limits of Satan's power and a good idea how he works. The lies of homosexuality are human and limited, and yet they spread with great power. The power of Satan to create lies ought to be underestimated. Imagine Nimrod as a manifestation of Satan. The historic Nimrod is demonic, and he expresses demonic power. But he is a man with the powers of a man and the limitations of a physical creature. He has great physical strength and impressive powers of persuasion. He becomes the centerpiece of a great military and political organization called Babylon. Babylon in turn is used by God to illustrate all that is wrong with the satanic system. But ultimately everything that we know about Nimrod is because of the lies of Satan. But as powerful as Nimrod was, he had a simple yet profound problem. He can only be in one place at one time and can only do one thing at one time. In simple terms, as powerful as Nimrod is, he can manage a limited number of people. So long as he is managing people, he is not creating value. He cannot manage people and create value because they are mutually exclusive ideas. But management is not a sustainable activity because it is about management rather than about creating value. The management of productive persons produces nothing of value. A manager is dependent on those who create value for his maintenance. The management function hides a fundamental truth that God himself laid down. No one owes anyone anything. If we did owe others support, we would be under the law. If people had rights and our support was based on a legal obligation to help them, there would be no recognition for being charitable. Indeed, if human rights were a real thing, charity would no longer be possible. Human rights negates the idea of charity. Human rights also puts human beings in the place of God. If a human being is owed service, that is tantamount to worship. God alone is to be worshipped. Human rights is the claim we owe service to other humans. Nimrod could not claim people owed him allegiance or service, at least not in an articulate way. Nimrod had to claim he is God or a child of God or that he is ruling from a divine right. These claims can be falsified if logic is permitted. However, these claims are grounded in emotion, protected by emotional narratives, such as God and country, national pride, and so on, and they are expressed as the feel-good choice. The state is always here to help, just as the alcoholic is always here to be your friend. The point being made here is that the state is composed of persons, and persons, regardless how powerful the individual person may be, a person is still a person with the limitations of a person. The state needs all the help and cooperation individuals need if they intend to control more than a dozen persons. Satan, for all of his power, is still just a liar. His lies have power, but they still have only the power of a lie. Nimrod cannot manage a city or empire or a global government and still create value. For all of his influence and skills, Satan is still a freeloader. Management is not a sustainable activity because it produces nothing of value. The more ostentatious the ruler lives, the less able he is to fund his lifestyle. When all of the trappings of power are removed, the most glorious of rulers is a scam artist, freeloading of his people by promising to deliver many wonderful benefits but unable to deliver anything not stolen from someone else. Sitting atop the Tower of Babel may be exhilarating for someone like Nimrod, but it does not put food on the table. Management comes down to convincing others to support their lies. The leader promises his supporters that supporting him will result in better returns than working. Managers gamble they can reward their supporters enough to keep their support without alienating all those from whom wealth is taken. Management is nothing more complicated than a pyramid scam. Like all pyramid scams, it runs out of credibility the more it controls the base. By the time the base is incorporated into the pyramid, the rulers hope to have achieved enough control to expropriate real wealth from the base. Management is not about controlling people, however. Management is a conspiracy to expropriate property from the lowest rung of the pyramid. Ultimately, all organizations seek to gain control of the earth. All government is about creating an organization of such power it can dominate the entirety of the earth. None have gotten close to this objective, though many have tried. There is no purpose of man that is universal to all, but globalization is the purpose of government and private organizations. The control of the earth is the objective of the plutocracy. Plutocrats do not love wealth, they are addicted to the accumulation of property. It is how they get their identity. The accumulation of power, as manifested by their control of property, is what consumes them. The things of God is where their heart is, which is why they are in direct conflict with God. Ultimately, plutocrats want control of the earth created by God. For plutocracy to exist, an administrative hierarchy is needed. A person is able to manage only so many people. Each level of a hierarchy can only contain a limited number of underlings. Each underling in turn has a limited complement of people under him. This pyramid grows and grows with decreasing levels of power, until at the lower level the people are managed by weak, almost powerless underlings. Yet the person at the top controls a huge number of people, though a legion of mid-management offices. All of these officials have to be paid. But the only place where value is created is in the productive activities happening on the lowest level. All the higher levels are managers that have no other function than to ensure wealth moves upwards and control moves downwards. This is the opposite of a meritocracy. Plutocrats love wealth and power but must freeload to get it. Meritocracy is not just the rule of merit, it is getting only what one earned through honest labor. This requires a unique kind of person, one that does not feel entitled and does not consider he or she is the inheritor of any rights other than the right to what he or she has worked for. If we have no rights, we have to work for what we get. We have no right to impose our costs onto others. Freeloading is evil and the consequence of being in an evil system. Sanctification is man being freed of the lust of the eyes and the desires of the flesh. These are the desires that lead to freeloading. We must reject the lies that lead to freeloading. The sanctified are not lovers of the physical. We are not emotional. We are not lovers of the flesh. We are not plutocrats because our treasure is not laid up on earth. Merit means we earn what we claim as our own. In a meritocracy, power flows up and wealth flows down. Meritocracy operates according to the principle of subsidiarity. Plutocrats are of the flesh. Meritocrats are people of the spirit. Our systems are mirror images of each other. We are two kinds of people, we are mirror images of one another. Meritocrats reject the obsession plutocrats have with property and their willingness to gamble their future. Meritocrats are not in competition with their fellow men for property and power. We cooperate for the good of all. It is cooperation based on the truth that eliminates freeloading, the fuel that feeds demons. Truth is objective and it has to be validated. The truth is not grounded in the emotions of men. The market is one way to validate the truth. Truth demon-proofs organizations. Basing your organization on the truth means accurate accounting. We call this system that gives an organization a market-based accounting system, the ecclesia system. The ecclesia, anti-freeloading, system. Ecclesia are the church and the people of faith. People ask what the church is. If it is not people in pews or buildings, the answer is that it is not a physical thing. The church is spiritual, not physical. So it is not possible to see the church in the way we see a house or car. The church is a management model that stops humans from having authority over other human beings. It is not our place to lord it over others of our kind. The church is a special kind of charity that houses and manages volunteers. How to manage a flat organization is a dilemma atheists and their allies have pondered on since at least Babylon, without coming to a solution. There is no solution to this dilemma, other than the one God provided as the church. This is a management model the world has consistently rejected. A small group of volunteers form an ecclesiastical charity or church. The charity operates as the owner of record and storehouse for donations. The charitable organization represents God on earth as it is the body of Christ on earth. The ecclesiastical charity assumes ownership of donations provided by the volunteers. This makes the provision of charitable services easier to organize. It permits volunteers to sell all they have and give the proceeds to the poor yet remain active in the faith. In some cases, it is necessary when dealing with the agents of Satan to create a formal, charitable organization. The charitable organization purchases assets from its volunteers in an equity for asset swap. The charitable organization is overseen by a general council made up of members. The council issues bonds for the assets donated to the charity in its capitalization phase. These bonds can be cashed in for preferred shares as needed. These preferred shares are used as a medium of exchange in the charitable organization's business activities. Ecclesiae are charitable organizations created to serve the interests of God, according to 3 passages. 2 Thessalonians 3 verse 7 For yourselves know how ye ought to follow us, for we behaved not ourselves disorderly among you. 8 Neither did we eat any man's bread for naught, but wrought with labor and travail night and day, that we might not be chargeable to any of you. 9 Not because we have not power, but to make ourselves an ensample unto you to follow us. 10 For even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat. 11 For we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies. 12 Now them that are such we command and exhort by our Lord Jesus Christ, that with quietness they work, and eat their own bread. 1 Timothy 5 verse 8 But if any provide not for his own, and specially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith, and is worse than an infidel. Ephesians 6 verse 12 For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. 13 Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Ecclesiastical charities are operated as local and general councils. Limited councils are 12 levels high and general councils are 12 sectors wide. Limited councils are horizontally part of a general council, and each general council is vertically constructed from limited councils. Each council is headed by a chairperson. The chairs of the lower councils form the members of the next higher level council. Ecclesiae are fractal and modular. Councils are organized according to the principle of subsidiarity. Goods and services are priced according to the labor theory of value. Each of the 12 sectors represents a different occupation, example the construction sector, the health and welfare sector, the educational sector, and so on. A local council administrates each occupational sector. A general council deals with intersectional issues. Economic development and the transfer of resources between sectors are examples of things a general council would adjudicate. All work done by volunteers is paid for. There are no unpaid persons in an ecclesia. Ecclesia use only paid labor, even students and housewives are paid a living wage. If the work adds value to the ecclesia, it is paid for. If a behavior does not cover its own costs, penalties are adjudicated before an ecclesiastical council. All work is paid for in prefers, and prefers are used to purchase goods and services. Prefers are preferred shares issued by the ecclesiastical charity and are never inflationary. Prefers are paid into the appropriate account of the volunteer who generated the value. Individuals buy consumer goods and services, councils purchase infrastructure. Both types of customers buy from the ecclesia, using prefers. A national council purchases roads and other infrastructure projects for the nation from the appropriate national limited council, whereas a state or provincial level council will purchase infrastructure that serves the state or province. Neighborhoods, cities and regions all have their councils, and these purchase infrastructure from the sectors as needed, using prefers as the unit of account. When a purchase is made, the seller's account is credited, and the buyer's account is debited. This is the case regardless of if the purchaser and seller are councils or a volunteer. Prefer accounting is never inflationary and produces no interest-bearing debt.